Hello watch enthusiasts. Now today I have a collection review for a good viewer H. I was asked to not mention his name, so I'll just call him H. Now as you will have seen at the beginning of the video, I have a new intro, which I'm hoping carries a bit more gusto than my last one, and is more lively, because my previous one with that beautiful SETI piece lacked a certain punch, I think, whereas hopefully this Holst will compensate for that. So do give me your thoughts on that in the questions down below, the comments even down below, whether I should keep it or revert to the original. Now I will also point out that I have been making a lot of collection reviews recently, but don't worry, I shall revert to my usual videos on different aspects of the watch market and watchmaking in the next video, with a couple of reviews I have coming up. So bear with me, I shall make other videos apart from collection reviews very soon. Now, this collection was kindly sent to me by H. I was asked, as I've said before, not to mention his name, so I shall just refer to him as H. Now, this collection is a combination of vintage and more modern pieces, and I must say these truly are gorgeous watches. I don't think I've seen a more beautiful all-steel collection before, and one which I'd like to own more, frankly, with a Speedmaster reduced, starting from the left to the right. A Speedmaster reduced, that's the original version, not the Sapphire 100-metre water-resistant one, but the 50-metre acrylic one. Then we have a 1967 Tudor, a 1966 Rolex, a 1959 Omega Seamaster calendar, and all on the far right side we have the daddy of Speedmasters, the Professional. Now firstly we have this beautiful 1967 Tudor Prince Oyster date, which is effectively Tudor's version of the Rolex Oyster Datejust, and is fairly similar, apart from the fact that it has an ETA movement rather than an in-house Rolex one, that being the major difference. And this is a really beautifully finished watch for the period. It's very simple, very elegant, with those sort of very subtle sword hands, and that date at 3 o'clock, hence the name. Now I think the choice of this green NATO strap on this watch is a superb choice, because Oysters produced by Tudor were extensively used by the armed forces, because they wanted the Oyster case but didn't want to pay as much as the premium for a Rolex, and wanted movements that were easily and cheaply serviced. Now this is the 1966 Rolex Oyster Perpetual date. So this is the upmarket version, if you will, of the Tudor we just saw. Now this is which shares the case of the Tudor. I'm afraid I can't see the size, so it may well be a slightly different size, but I suspect it's the same. And of course it has the in-house Rolex caliber, rather than the ETA movement in the Tudor. Otherwise, a few details are different. For example, the dial is similar, but has the crown at 12 o'clock and has slightly different markers. Equally, the hands are the sort of baton-style hands used by Rolex on the Daytona these days, and their dress line, rather than the sword hands used on the Tudor. Now, the state of this piece really is remarkable. The dial still has that crisp finish with the sunburst effect, which truly is a beauty to behold. Now, the choice of that leather NATO on this watch is a very good choice too, because it still demonstrates the rugged aspect of an Oyster case on a Rolex, being able to resist water ingress, while still retaining that luxurious look of leather. Now this next watch is an Omega Seamaster from 1959, and it's the calendar version, so it's it's sort of Omega's version, if you will, of the Rolex Oyster, so it's also water resistant, hence the name. Admittedly, it's not a dive watch, but it is water resistant like the Oyster. Equally, it has those sword style hands, which are also very elegant, and that case is very typical of Omega in those years, the 50s and 60s, with those somewhat separate lugs, which look like they've been attached to the case separately, which are typical of this era of Seamaster. Now, dial-wise, this watch is quite simple. It's a white dial, and still looks wonderful. It has the old style of Omega logo at 12 o'clock, which really is beautiful and altogether less sharp than the modern logo, retaining that sort of old-fashioned soft look. Now, these Omegas sit quite close to my heart, because I've liked them for a few years since I saw my former art teacher wearing a gold version of this very watch. I think it was a slightly later version, though, and I remember thinking that was a really beautiful watch and commenting on it at the time. So I do hold these watches close to my heart. Now, the leather NATO on this watch, again, works on this watch just as the leather NATO works on that Rolex we just saw, retaining that luxurious look while giving a nod to the rugged qualities of this case. Now, this next watch is an Omega Speedmaster reduced. Now, these watches are the sort of smaller version of the Professional with an automatic ETA-based movement, and the movement is also built differently, so the chronograph module is actually on top of the rest of the movement. So that's to say that rather than getting an originally chronograph-based movement like a Valjoux 775 they've gone with an ETA 289 series movement and then sort of piggybacked a chronograph module onto the top of it, making this watch have the odd quirk of having the pushers placed at a much higher place on the case than the crown, which sits below, because of course the chronograph module has a certain thickness to it. Now, of course, the chronograph subdials are placed further out on the dial due to the 38mm size of this case rather than the 41 of the Professional. And this is the first version of the reduced, with the minute numerals going around the dial, rather than the later ones, which shared more of a style with the Professional itself. Now, the strap on this watch is a rally-style strap with holes in it, which actually does suit this watch quite well, because this watch was originally meant to be a sort of a space-style watch, a traditional Speedmaster-style watch, but then it was used a lot in racing, much in the same way a Rolex Daytona was, so having a rally strap on this watch really does suit it. And finally, we have the classic, the Speedmaster Professional. This is the most iconic chronograph in the world, without a doubt. The manually wound Omega caliber with that typical design with the Hesselite crystal, and of course this has the subdials placed in the middle of the dial rather than pushed out to the sides, because of course this is a 41mm watch rather than a 38. Equally, the chronograph pushers are more inset into the case due to the larger size of the whole case itself, as is the crown actually. Now, the strap is a sort of a slightly distressed, handmade style of strap by the looks of what I can see, and this does suit the watch very well for a more casual wear like the strap on the first Omega in space. However, H does have a dilemma. He's asked me whether it would be a worthy worthy investment, I suppose, a worthy purchase, to sell his Speedmaster reduced for a fair sum of money. I won't mention any prices for discretion, but he would like to know if it would be worthwhile selling the reduced in favour of a Watchco Seamaster 300. Obviously paying the difference, because the Watchco will always be worth more than the reduced. Now, this is an incredibly difficult question to answer, simply because I love the Seamaster 300. It's one of my favourite dive watches. So as a result, my heart would say go with the 300. But of course, my head does say that one has to accept with a Watchco watch that even if it's been made by Omega specialists, or even assembled by Omega with Omega parts, its resale value will never be as good as an original Seamaster 300. So I would say that if you can deal with the patina on the original 300, then go with that. However, if you do want a watch which will look new, but with that old-fashioned look, and made with old-fashioned pieces, then by all means buy the Watchco. Also, bearing in mind the deal which you told me you'd been offered, H, for the reduced, which was a very, very fair price, more than fair, I would say that you should most definitely go with the Watchco 300 under these conditions. It would really complement your collection too, beautifully, seeing as you don't have a specialist diver in it already. Now, I would like to thank H for sending me his collection. And please, anyone else, if they want a collection review, feel free to email me in the at the email address down below. Now, before I end this video, I would like to mention the fact that I've bought a Seiko. Now, I shan't say which Seiko I've bought, but do try and guess in the comments below. Give me your thoughts, tell me what you think I will have bought. It shall be revealed on Wednesday. So you shall see then which version I've actually bought. So thank you very much for watching. Do please like, share and subscribe if you enjoyed this video and would like to see more from my channel. So thank you very much for watching. This is I'm on the Watch Guy, over and out.